Today, I brought into Greenroom Central Studios Ashley Stanford, a digital marketing strategist whose expertise is getting guests to show up for events. She's VP and co-founder at Ice Cream Social, a peer-to-peer gamified referral marketing widget for event registration sites. And she's EVP of client strategy for TicketSocket, a white label ticket sales app. Ashley offers digital marketing support for diverse events like fun runs and festivals, circuses, air shows, zoos, and many more in the entertainment and coaching industries. Ashley, welcome to Greenroom Central Studios. Say hello to Linchpin Nation.
Hello, Linchpin Nation. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Sarah.
I'm thrilled to have you here too, because we're going to talk today about probably the most requested topic in the space of coaching events, and that is, how do I fill a room? So tell us, what is your superpower as it relates to events?
What is my superpower? I'd have to say I'm a bit of an old school gamer girl at heart, and growing up, we had one video game, Mario Brothers, and my brother and
I
I.
always wanted to play that game, but we didn't have it.
Gosh, it's so good. So once you beat the game, you beat the game. So in order to keep things fun, my brother and I would find new ways to play the game, new challenges, who could get the most coins, who could beat it in the least amount of time. And after doing this, I've learned it's really all about optimization. So my superpower when it comes to events, event marketing, I'd have to say is optimization. And in the context of, I love when people come to me and say, I love when they come to me before they go on sale in marketing, start marketing. But a lot of times people will come to me and say, hey, I'm on sale. It's not working, or it's working, but it could be better. I know something's off. Can you take a look? I love digging into what's going on, finding all the little tweaks and optimizations that we can make to your marketing plan and improve your overall return on any dollars you're putting out the door. So that's
Yes.
that's my
Oh, I love
superpower. I
that.
love doing that. It is still like a video game to me.
Okay, I love that you're relating it to a video game and that you're calling it fun, because there's so many people in this space who don't think it's fun. In fact, it's probably one of the biggest stressors,
Yeah.
and perhaps even one of the biggest things that holds them back from getting started or from doing it again, is because they know that they filled it the last time, but it was hard,
Yes.
or they don't know how they're going to fill it this time.
Yes.
And that is what you think is super fun.
Yes. Putting on an event is no joke. It's a lot of work, and just the execution of the event, showing up at the event, all the details that go into putting on an event is a lot of work. So I get it. To have to then think about a whole marketing plan and strategy and execution of that, it can feel pretty daunting.
Let's work a little on that phrase you just said, which was marketing plan. I like to tell my students that filling an event is making a plan and working the plan consistently. Tell me how you think about creating a marketing plan for an event. And would you say what I said would you say that's true? You got to make a plan and
Oh
work it
yeah,
consistently?
absolutely. Um, we're on a podcast, so trying to speak visually here without showing any graphics. But when I sit down and think about, okay, how are we going to market this event? I've got this funnel, and it's kind of two sides. So on the beginning of the funnel, we're at a very awareness state. What can we do to get the word out there as early as possible? It could be as simple as a press release. I like to think through all of the places online we could list the event, any kind of event directories, local bloggers, anything like that, because you want to start getting like that SEO value and juice going. And then also creating a campaign that just gets people excited. So you could be running some ads that are asking people for their email and phone number, generating leads. You want to create a lot of hype around the event going on sale, as if it's going to sell out on opening night. So people need to make sure they put their name on the list if they want a chance at securing tickets. So we create a
Such a
really,
smart strategy.
really big FOMO campaign at that awareness state before we ever go on sale.
Okay.
So we really focus in on that. And then really the biggest focus and the biggest night of your sales should be the night you go on sale. So you want to really build up that list, build up that interest, get the buzz going, because if you have a strong opening night, and there's a big campaign and a lot of different tactics you can do to have a really successful on sale night or day. I prefer to go on sale in the evening when people are home and had dinner already. But if you have a very strong on sale night, not only will that create a lot of momentum for sales for the rest of your sales cycle, talk about breathing easy for the rest of the sales cycle leading up to the event, because you are busy figuring out all the details for the event, finalizing presentations, whatever might be going on behind the scenes. The last thing you want to be stressing about is that, how am I going to get people there? So having a strong opening night is just a really great indicator of a successful event. And with a lot of the clients that I work with, we have a special campaign that we will execute maybe 4 to 6 weeks leading up to us going on sale. And I know if that on sale night does not go well, we really don't have much of a shot.
And you've got some numbers to back that up, right? You kind of have a target percentage of sales, like seats filled on that specific night. And if you don't get there, you know that there's something amiss, perhaps with marketing copy or something else. Yeah,
it's going to be pretty different for every client that I work with. And a lot of my clients, they've done this event before in a lot of different cities. Oftentimes they're traveling to different cities. So we'll also use this kind of big on sale night as an indicator to know, spend a little bit of money to dip our toes first. Is this going to be a good market? Because in some events, it really does make a difference. Sometimes that city is just not the right market. And to know on opening night and have those benchmarks predetermined and not go through the painful entire sales cycle and decide, you know what, this event's at a loss and we got to put it on and that sucks. Or, hey, we need to cancel this last minute, which is the worst thing that you want to do. So if we know on opening night, ooh, this was a flop, which doesn't happen that often, but it does happen. At least we know opening night, we can refund those people. We're at a small loss. We can move on to the next city or next.
And that's helpful for people who are doing podcast tours or book tours. That's a really important strategy to include.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, one of my benchmarks, again, it varies per the event, per revenue goals, the type of event, because a lot of times some people don't care. They just want butts and seats, even if the tickets are $1, because they know they make a lot of money at the events. Some events make a majority of their money off the ticket sales. So there's a lot of factors at play. But one kind of general rule of thumb that I have is that list that we build up that during that lead generation phase that we know opted in, said, yes, I want to come to this event. Let me know when it goes on sale. On opening night, we want to convert at least about 15% of the list that night. If 15% of the list doesn't buy, time and time again, the entire sales cycle is a struggle. If 15% of the list buys, then we know this is going to go pretty smoothly and this is going to be a pretty successful event.
So in the digital product space, we call that a launch list. So we'll get that list together of people who have raised their hand that this is something they're interested in learning about. And that's the pool of people that we use for all of our reach outs about perhaps it's a webinar or a live training series, and then ultimately make the offer to. And so you're saying you really love people to treat filling an event the exact same way. They're going to create a launch list. It's not like their entire list. It's let's do a big campaign. Let's put a runway together before our event and generate a launch list for the event. And then we can use that indicator that you mentioned of about 15% of that launch list should convert on that first day of ticket sales. And if it doesn't, then that's a really strong signal to us that we need to go reevaluate our marketing for this event.
Not even necessarily the marketing, assuming that you executed the marketing as should. A lot of times it could be a market problem, like that city, there's not interest, or it could be just an event problem itself. Like you got to rethink your messaging or your proposition. And this is for physical events. For virtual type events, the numbers are often much higher in terms of getting a list to convert. But for physical events, we're talking about 15% on opening night, and things are going to go pretty smoothly for you.
I love that benchmark. So back to the whole marketing plan concept. I'm hearing you say that there are multiple tracks that you're working at the same time. So not only are you doing ads, but you're doing other things too. Tell me about kind of all of the spokes to the wheel that you like to have at play when you're putting together a comprehensive marketing plan for an event.
Sure. So I would say at a tactical level, at the very least, I have some clients who are only going to do the bare minimum. And if you're an event that's been put on before and you've seen success, this usually works fine and you can get away with the bare minimum. If you're a newer event or, new city, whatever the case may be, you're going to need to deploy a lot of different tactics in order to kind of build the traction you're looking for.
Yeah.
So I'd say at the bare minimum, you're going to be running social media ads, email marketing, and SMS. Those three together work really, really well. So at a bare minimum, you want those included in your plan. Now, obviously, to run email and SMS, you need a database of people. So if you don't have that already, again, that's where you do kind of that lead generation or that launch campaign to build that list so that you can activate the email and SMS marketing.
Got it. So you're saying that in then the ad campaign, you're using that to get people to raise their hands and put themselves on the first to be notified list.
Exactly.
And that's when you're capturing their name and their email and their cell phone number.
Yes.
Right.
So at that kind of awareness stage where you're generating interest in the event, yes, we're running Facebook, Instagram ads to a landing page to get emails and phone numbers. And then, we'll have a whole sequence of emails and texts that they get leading up to opening night, as well as retargeting ads, just making sure they are very engaged and ready for opening night. And then once you go on sale, then yes, you're still using those core three: email, SMS, Facebook, Instagram ads. We've been doing a lot of TikTok as well in terms of social advertising. But
are you seeing success there?
Yes, still experimenting a lot, but definitely seeing enough to keep investing, not enough success quite yet, at least in the events realm. I can see products work really great, but sometimes events can be a little trickier. Still seeing success to invest dollars, but not ready to jump ship of what we're doing with Meta. So definitely worth testing out. If you are a very large event and have the budget, or whether you're a smaller event and need to get scrappy and look at guerrilla marketing, there's a lot of other different tactics that you can involve, and that could be just little ramble off a little list here to inspire you no matter where you fall in the gamut here. Um, do a lot of billboards, radio, TV. Those are obviously larger budgets. Um, One type of client that I learned so much from are circuses. They're so great at their scrappy in local marketing budget. They do a lot of flyers like in grocery stores, which, probably isn't going to be applicable to a lot of people listening to put flyers in grocery stores. But
Right.
having that mindset of like, who could I team up with on a fairly free basis to get my message out there? That could be local bloggers who are usually always looking for content. Um, Oftentimes, you could do, if it's a smaller local blogger, they have a captive audience. They might do a low cost paid content or kind of like a trade. Um, a lot of, yeah, outside of bloggers, just
That's a great
influencers
idea.
in general. One of my favorites that Circle A does is they have these stencils. And so when they're in a city, they just spray paint. I wouldn't say it's spray paint. I think it's like chalky. It's friendly. It washes off with the rain. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how toxic it is. I'm sure it's fine. But they stencil information on the sidewalks. So thinking
Ah,
more like guerrilla marketing like that is helpful. And again, just kind of Googling and finding all of the places you could list your event online at no cost. All of that is just like search engine optimization juice and can help people find you. Obviously,
mm.
organic social media, checking out hashtags, engaging with people, having conversations there. There's a lot of different things that you could do. But at that core, really you want that Facebook, email, SMS. But sometimes that's not enough. So you do have to look at other methods of
Yeah.
marketing to really help um, carry the sales, depending what kind of
Yeah.
business it is.
And one thing we didn't talk about yet was referral marketing. And I bring that up because we, so recently I was watching that Alex Hermosi event, the virtual event to launch his book. And what was really interesting to me, and it's what you're preaching today, was that he got leads for that event from so many different places. It wasn't just ads, it wasn't
Yeah.
just affiliates, it wasn't just like organic. It was everything working together that, a little here, a little there equaled the 500,000 plus registrants.
Yeah.
And so you're underlining that that's important and that's what your strategy is. But one of the big ones I want to talk about is referral marketing, where we're talking about one person telling another person. I know we can do affiliates at a wider, on a much grander scale, but on this one-to-one, tell us about how you implement that in your campaigns.
Sure. So, big fan of referral marketing, peer-to-peer marketing,
Mm-hmm.
influencer marketing, however you want to categorize it. I have a company called Ice Cream Social, and it's essentially a widget that bolts on to any website or checkout flow, and it helps you turn your database of customers into an influencer for your brand. And
Okay.
how that works is, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen this on other websites before, is you make a purchase for something. In my particular case, it's an event. You purchase tickets to an event, you get to the confirmation page, and then Ice Cream Social will deploy. And it'll have some sort of offer for you that will say something along the lines of, hey, this event would be a lot more fun if your friends went with you. Here's your
Yes.
special link. Invite your friends. If you get 5 friends to buy, we'll refund your ticket. And
Okay.
so what we're doing is one, activating all of the customers to be a little influencer for you. And
Yes.
we're getting them to help be an influencer for you by gamifying it and giving them some sort of reward. And so, uh, depending, kind of the different promotions. That's just an example of one. But let's say if you're asking someone to get 5 friends to buy, they're not going to invite exactly 5 friends unless they know they can get these 5 friends to buy. They're often inviting 8 to 12 people. So no matter
Wow.
what, they're bringing people back to your site. And a lot of people are going to get 1 friend to buy, 2 friends to buy, maybe even 3. It's pretty rare someone's going to reach their rewards. You're also not giving out all these refunds. However, if they do, it's definitely worth it for you because the cost to acquire that customer is much lower than a
Right.
Facebook ad. So there's a lot of different ways that you can really kind of leverage that, leverage your current database, and get them to help you invite. And a lot of times they're often pretty willing, just because they're excited.
Oh, I love that. I know that it's often said that you can fill upwards of 30% of your event seats with just the Bring a Friend campaign
Mhm.
alone. And so you're kind of taking that and putting it on steroids. And I imagine that when someone works with you to deploy something like that on their thank you page, they would get to decide what that campaign, that offer looks like. If it's
Yeah.
bring one and get this, or bring 5 and get this, or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be.
Yes, it's very
Okay.
custom. So it could be whatever you want the goal to be. One
Mm-hmm.
friend, 3 friends, 5 friends, 10,
Mm-hmm.
a ticket
Mm-hmm.
refund, a gift card, a free t-shirt, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
I think that's, I was just talking with a potential client last week about their upcoming event and how they were doing fantastic already with getting a couple thousand registered, but they just knew, like they had this gut feeling if they implemented something in this peer-to-peer space that it would take them so much higher. And we're looking for a solution on this. So I'm going to tell them about this.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we've talked about marketing campaigns, how they really are, they need to be comprehensive. Let's talk about when this conversation about a marketing plan for the event is taking place. How early do you like that conversation to happen before the tickets go on sale? And then on that, along those same lines, when do you like tickets to go on sale in advance of the event?
Sure. Absolutely want to have the conversation about building a marketing strategy as soon as possible, with as much notice as possible. If it was a year in advance, that'd be great. Uh, but ideally, again, it's one of those things that depends on the kind of event, uh,
Mm-hmm.
the kind of, notoriety behind the event, whatever may be happening. There's a lot of different use cases on timing in terms of what type of event. Ideally, for me and the type of events I work with, um, I'd like to know 4 or 5 months before we go on sale for sure,
Mm-hmm.
or before the event. And typically we'll spend, 3 to 4 weeks creating that awareness, generating leads. That timing works pretty well. If I stretch it longer than that, we can lose some people. So 3 to 4 weeks works pretty good. And then a lot of times, for most of the events that I work on, if we have a 3 month period to market before the event happens, that's ideal. 4 months is great. You get a little out there, it can be a little tricky
Yeah.
because people just aren't planning as far in advance anymore. There's just so much competition in terms of people's time and attention and plans and
Yes.
what they're going to do. So I am finding that if you're marketing something, 6 months out, it can get a little more difficult. And so in some cases, I do have clients that do that will market a year in advance, but I'd prefer to save a bulk of the marketing budget for those last 3, 4 months before the event.
Yeah. So I'm hearing about at least 9 months out, we should have a conversation and get the ball rolling on building the strategy. And then I'm hearing 4 months out from the event, start that awareness runway, gathering names and emails and SMS for people who are raising their hand that they're interested. And then 3 months out, going on sale. Is that about right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I love that. Now, what have you been seeing recently work really well that you're kind of excited about?
Yeah, let's see. I would say one thing that's been working pretty well with a lot of my clients is something we call whitelisting.
Okay.
And whitelisting, I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but essentially it's if you're working with any kind of influencer, if you have someone attending your event that has a little bit of an audience, if they're speaking at your event. Some of the events I do, they have like musical artists and acts, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe you just have an influencer who's attending your event or willing to promote it for you.
Okay.
What a lot of these social tools now allow is something called whitelisting access, or Facebook has changed the name. They'll call it like a paid partnership. And if you create content within this paid partnership, it allows you to essentially push a button and allow the other person to put paid dollars behind that one post. So it kind of gives you access to that influencer's post to just put paid dollars behind it. So it's still coming from that influencer rather than you or your event. But you don't get access to put money behind everything or see their whole ad account or anything like that. And so we'll see with a lot of events that the whitelisting ads have a pretty high return on ad spend.
I love that. Yeah, it's definitely something I recommend that you either ask for access to their ads account for guest speakers that you're having at your event, and if they say yes, great. But it sounds like this new way, this whitelisting way, is probably has an even greater chance of a yes.
Yes.
And isn't that fabulous? Because now you get access to running ads to all of their followers.
Yeah, to their followers and a broader audience. And it just gives you kind of another profile to advertise under and see, which one works better for you. And honestly, that stage, if that's something you're considering, asking for a white label or whitelisting access or anything like that often happens in the contract stage. So if we're working with someone who might be in an event, whether it's a musical artist, a celebrity, a speaker, we're negotiating that access at the contract level before they've even committed. And
Love
for
that.
some people, that is a deal breaker.
Okay. It's a deal breaker that they won't have them speak at their event unless they say yes to the...
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cutthroat.
It is.
So it's kind of like a collab post on steroids.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, most people are always definitely very willing to do that. It's only benefits them as well because they're getting paid dollars behind their account that isn't them, which just brings more profile views, followers, engagement to your account. So it's usually a pretty great scenario.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that tip. Any others?
Ooh, I would say, as I've been trying to hit home, making as much FOMO and buzz around going on sale as possible. A lot of times when putting on an event, you want to hype up the event itself, which yes, you want to do. But before you even do that, you really need to hype up the fact that you're going on sale.
So this is probably a helpful distinction for the people who they want to reach a cold audience for their event.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a bit of a jump to go to an event, especially an in-person event. Virtual is much easier if you're cold and you've never met, I'm doing air quotes, met them before.
Yeah.
And so this runway period where they're just simply raising their hand, you're then kind of turning them from cold to warm and dramatically increasing the
Yes.
chances of them saying yes to showing up live for you.
Yes. And honestly, getting them to buy on opening night because again, it creates that momentum. They'll tell their friends. You
Mm-hmm.
can breathe a little easy. Depending on
Yes.
the type of event, you can cover a lot of your hard costs on that opening night and then you're not stressing. So there's a lot of benefits to having a successful on sale night. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what I see a lot of events do is they just go on sale and they turn on their ads and then they ask people to buy.
Yes.
And the
That's what I
return,
see too.
yeah, it's just the return isn't going to be as high. Like you said, it's talking to a cold audience, and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to take a lot more dollars to warm them up and get them to purchase because the cost per acquisition to get someone to make a purchase is so much higher than getting
Right.
someone to fill out a form with their name and email address.
Yes.
It might
So
cost
tell me,
you pennies to get a lead, but it could cost you 30, 50, 100, $200 to acquire a customer. So it's always better to have that runway period of acquiring leads at such a low cost where then you can warm them up and nurture them through email and SMS.
what are the must do strategies during that runway period?
This whole idea for this campaign came about when talking to one of my clients, and we're talking about a movie. It's called Focus. It's with Will Smith, Margot Robbie, and I won't delve too much into it if you want to watch it. But there's a bet that Will Smith makes in the movie, and it's a pretty outlandish bet, and you just think there's no way he has a shot at winning this bet that he made with another person, like a
Okay.
casual bet with another person. And um, he ends up winning this bet. Sorry, spoiler alert. It's not a spoiler alert for the whole movie, just this scene. But he ends up winning this bet, and he won it because he spent the weeks prior making this bet before this bet conversation came about, essentially subliminally marketing to this guy so he knew what this guy would pick. He made sure, like, he planted the idea subtly in his head with different things, images,
Yes.
music, things playing around him. You just have to watch it to
Now I
know
have to watch it.
about. And so we kind of brainstormed, like, how could we do that with people to have a really great on sale night? And
Yes.
so, yes, we'll run ads saying, hey, we go on sale on this day, this time. You don't want to miss out. You'll get the best price. You'll get a ticket, whatever kind of FOMO messaging you're
Mm-hmm.
working with. But you tell them in that ad, we go on sale this day, this time. Then that drives them to a landing page that has the same messaging. Enter your info because we go on sale at this day, this time. We want you to get the information. They hit submit. The confirmation page says same thing, this day, this time, mark your calendars. You know what? Here's a widget, add this to your calendar. Then they
Yes.
add it to their calendar, and that calendar will send a hard ping to their phone on that day and that time with the link to click and buy. And then we're sending them a series of emails that they're getting, just getting them excited about the event and why they don't want to miss out. And again, don't forget this day, this time we go on sale. Same with SMS, sending them text messages to remind them and get them excited. And then showing them retargeting ads. Hey, we're glad you're on the list. Don't forget this day, this time. Feel free to share this post with friends if you want them to get on the list. So it's really just every avenue that we can hit them with this messaging, we do it for 3 to 4 weeks. Obviously, some people might come in for a week, so they only get it for a week. But either way, they're still a fresh lead and like excited, and sometimes that can work
Yes.
in their favor too. So that's not an issue. Um, but it's really what are all of the things you could do to tell this person over and over again, you go on sale this day and this time, because that just puts them in this mode of like, shoot, this is important and I cannot miss this, or I'm either going to get no tickets at all or I'm going to get a really bad deal and I want to get the best deal.
Yeah, I love following Jesse Itzler, and the 29029 event. And they were doing that. They're doing that right now.
Yeah.
I think. See, I'm a product of their marketing. I think it's like November 2nd that their tickets go on sale,
Yeah.
and I'm anxiously awaiting, even though this is not my year,
Yeah.
but I'm still like on pins and needles, going, oh my gosh, what's going to happen on the day that they go on sale? Because
Yeah.
they're doing such a good job of telling me in all these places that that's
Yeah.
the day they go on sale,
Yeah.
and it's working.
Yeah.
What What kind of ads do you see perform the best? I'm a sucker for a good sizzle reel of a prior event being used to promote the current event, but what do you see working?
Gosh, this is probably number one question all my clients ask. And I am going to tell you, it has been different every single time.
Oh my
So at the
gosh.
very least, I want a video and I want static images, and we just A/B test all day long. Every few
Yes.
days, okay, this is the winner, what's next? And we continue to reinvent that after kind of seeing the data roll in. But initially, I always want to start with, yes, some sort of sizzle reel
Mm-hmm.
video about what the event is, nothing too long, 30 seconds, 15 seconds
Yes.
max, and then your best static images that capture what the event could be.
So good.
And
So
it
go
is
ahead.
really weird. Sometimes video wins, sometimes static wins. It's always so different. So I can't say yes, video is a clear winner, because that's just not the case anymore. And that's been kind of new the past 4 years. Back in the day when video was still a little more favored, it worked out pretty well.
Well, I love that you have eyes on so many test cases so that you can definitively tell people, no, actually I need all the things. We're going to test it all in your event. Shifting gears a little bit. So when people are actually buying the tickets, a lot of people who listen to this show are using Kajabi, because it's my favorite thing in the
Yeah.
world, but it's just great for course creators because you host all of your stuff and super simple do it yourself checkout pages. Do you recommend that as the avenue for selling tickets for your event, or do you recommend something else? And if so, why?
Sure. So I have worked with content creators in the past, and I agree. Love Kajabi. Think it's great. We've used it to sell products before. I haven't used it to sell tickets, so I can't speak to that. They could very well have a great functionality for that.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on your needs, and you got to assess that. Like, how many people are coming to your event, and what does like your check-in process look like? Like, do you have barcodes that need to be scanned? Like, what is the event management aspect of it? Um,
Mm,
and so I would say, if you're using Kajabi, have that filter, evaluate Kajabi. If it works great for you, definitely use it because you want to be able to stay on one tool. But if
yes.
your needs are a little more complex,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of what you're looking for in event management, um, I suggest TicketSocket, white label ticketing software. And the reason I would suggest that over something maybe like an Eventbrite is that
Yeah.
that white labeled aspect allows you to continue to grow your brand. No one
Mm,
knows that you're using it. Even the credit card processing is going to have, your name or your business on it, all of the branding, the entire flow. It just looks seamless as if people never leave that experience of your website. And that honestly is really great for checkout conversions. If people have to jump to a new website or a new flow with new
mm-hmm.
branding, it can get confusing. And it
Yes.
really gets confusing later down the road if you're selling tickets far in advance and people can't find their ticket email because they can't remember what the name of the system was that you used.
Mm,
So we run into that a lot. But really, you just want to find a tool that allows you to keep your own branding, allows you to have control of your money. So some of, I won't name any brands, but some of the other ticketing companies out there, uh, when you sell a ticket, they'll actually hold on to your money. So you could have a really great opening night and really thankful because that's going to help you pay a lot of the bills to put on the event. But if that ticketing company holds your funds, a lot of times they'll hold your funds until a certain amount of time, especially if you're a new event. They'll hold your funds a lot of times until the event ends
Oh,
to assure that
wow.
there's not going to be chargebacks. So that can be really crucial for cash flow. So that is, I would say, if you're newer to putting on events, really think that through. Cash flow is going to be really important for
That's
you.
huge.
And with Ticket Socket, it's your own merchant processor. So as soon as someone buys a ticket, that goes directly into your bank account. You don't have to worry about somebody holding on to it and paying you out later when they've determined that your event is real, it's happening, you're not getting a
Yeah.
lot of chargebacks, that sort of thing. So just having, that full control of your brand money and data is important.
So important because it's a lot of people use ticket sales as a way to drive the revenue to put down deposits with
Hmm.
a hotel, for example,
Yeah.
or pay guest speakers and to secure them and to have the surprise of your
Yes.
funds being held until after the event would be devastating.
Yes, it is. It's unfortunate. So definitely keep that in mind when you're looking around.
That is a pro tip for sure. Thank
Hmm.
you. So you
Yeah.
said ticket socket, right?
Yes.
I love it. And I love that you said it was white label because I agree with you. It's a huge bone of contention for me when when businesses don't pay attention to ensuring that all of the pieces look and feel the same, have the same messaging and the same branding. I think that, like, that string of continuity is what creates that FOMO.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I agree for sure. And it just makes you look more put together. It builds trust, and trust is an important part of getting that final transaction.
Yeah, it's professional. It looks legit. This is a
Yeah.
big deal making a commitment to go hang out with somebody live, whether it's in person
Yeah.
or virtual. It's a big commitment.
Yeah.
And
And it's
I
easier than
think,
you think to get that white labeled
yes,
access. It's not a big thing. It's not a big custom development. Like it's a pretty seamless thing, so it's worth looking into.
yeah, and probably more applicable for those who are in the hundreds to thousands because that's when volume. I mean, if you're doing a 12-person retreat, I don't believe that you need it. But
Yeah.
if you're doing a conference with hundreds or thousands and guest management is a thing for you and badging and all that stuff, then it
Yes,
becomes really helpful to use a more advanced pro team solution like Ticket Socket that you recommended.
definitely.
Okay, before we wrap up, I want to first find out if there's anything that you want to share that we haven't yet talked about.
Oh man. I think I think I've laid it on pretty thick. Gotta do that lead generation, big
Yes.
strong opening night. That will
Yes.
help relieve a lot of your stress for sure.
It's a pro tip. The the next thing that I would want to ask you, I'd love to ask everybody, is what are you reading right now?
What am I reading right now? I'm going to tell you my favorite book. I read it quite often. I would say every couple years. So I'm kind of in that cycle right now.
Yes.
Uh, so it's not a new book that I've read it before. It's called The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte. I think I'm saying her
Ah,
name
yes,
correctly.
I've heard her. I've heard of her.
Okay, so let me tell you about this book. So essentially, it's a workbook, kind of.
Okay.
It is, and it takes you through this process. Asks you all kinds of questions, really gets your mind thinking, and you go through this whole process. Just got to trust the process, just do it. You get to the end, And you've come up with these, what she calls core desired feelings of how you want your life to go, how you want to feel day to day. So I like to do this book every 2 or 3 years. And I first did it many years ago, maybe 10 years ago. And once you come up with these core desired feelings of how you want to feel, it really helps you navigate and make decisions in your life
Mm.
so much more seamless. And uh, I think this would still be relevant if we're not talking about events here, but just anyone listening and
Mm-hmm.
navigating your career. Because I'm the people listening are probably fairly entrepreneurial in
Yes,
nature,
entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm.
and we have a lot of opportunity, and sometimes we're chasing certain things, or maybe opportunities come in and we want to say yes because the financials there, but it may not ladder up to your end goal. And one of the words that have come up for me over my period of doing this is the word freedom. And now I've noticed, now that I've done this many times, that that word freedom has different meanings for me
Oh.
over the years. So, like when I first started, like I wanted that financial freedom. Like I was chasing the money, trying to build up my business and brand, and what could I do to achieve that financial freedom?
Mm-hmm.
And then, have a couple kids, and things change, and uh, I found I was looking for that time freedom. Time was very important to me, and needing to figure out my career that, it wasn't just about the finances, it's also time. And then kind of progressing now where, I've reached certain goals and, have figured out how to structure my business in a way that supports me from a time aspect. I've now found that this word freedom for me is really all about opportunity and having the space, the time, the just the foundation in place to have the freedom to take on whatever opportunities that I feel are calling me right now.
Mm.
Um, and so the book has just been really helpful for me in kind of guiding my life and my day to day and structuring what my day looks like. I'm sure many of us are working from home, and so kind of
Yes.
figuring that out and navigating all the other things in life and remembering that there is more out there than just our work, and balancing all of that. I love that book, so I strongly recommend it.
Well, I've added it to my list
Great.
of things I have to read. I was kind of paying attention to her earlier on in my entrepreneurial journey, and then I kind of stopped for whatever reason. And I feel like this is the nudge that I need to go check
Yeah.
back in and read this one.
Yes, check it out. I think you could probably order it on Amazon. I know you can order it on our website.
I'm an
I,
Audible obsessed person.
I, you, I get that, me too, but you need the physical book.
Oh, okay, because I have to
You
workshop it.
got to workshop it.
Okay, okay.
But I gift this book all the time. And I get so many people that come back to me years later, like, that book changed my life. Thank
Oh,
you for giving
that's
that
so
to me.
sweet.
So definitely check it out.
What a thoughtful gift you give people. Okay, I'll link that up in the show notes. It'll also force me to go find it on Amazon, put it in the
Yeah.
cart. This has been so fun to chat today, Ashley. I really enjoyed it. What have you got going on right now that we should know about, and where can Linchpin
Mm,
Nation find you?
sure. So you can find me at icecreamsocial.io. Very excited. We recently received an investment from NBC Comcast. So, working on some cool projects with them that you can keep an eye out on. You could also find my website, ashleycline.com, to learn more.
Wonderful. Well, I'll link those up in the show notes too.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too. Take care.
Thanks.